Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum. Today is our eighth lecture of research project and we are going to discuss uh, the topic about the data analysis. So here is the topic. In this lecture, you will come to know about how you can analyze the data. Like the data means is a content which you collected during your research. So now moving towards the slide. So the most important question arises is that after you discuss that what is the primary data, when you come to know about the secondary data, when your research questions are prepared, your research objectives are very much obvious, when you know that this methodology you will adopt in collection of the data. So now the question is that you have prepared your questionnaire, your sample was clear, your population was 200, but you took the sample of 100 people on which you will conduct the research, and on the it depends that how many questions you are included in your questionnaire. And after you collect the data, now it's time to analyze the data. Now moving towards the quantitative analysis involves the techniques by which researchers convert data to numerical forms. Like data means that you have collected a complete data, and now it's time for you to give the numerical analysis. There are different software available nowadays on which you can convert your data into the numerical values. If I say that I conducted beta research on 20 people and ask them that do you prefer to watch drama or the political dramas, like the political talk shows on the television right these days. So 15 people say that they would prefer to watch the dramas on the social issues, or basically on the domestic issue, rather than watching the political dramas or the talk show, because both are the same, but mind need to relax our mind, it is better to watch the drama. So I have collected the data in simple words. Some like 15 people said yes, 2 people said disagree, 1 people said agree. And after collection of the data, now it is the time to turn into the numerical value. Then I will say that out of 20 people, it was said that the 78% people prefer to watch the drama than the people who prefer to watch the political talk shows in the prime time. Involve task of converting data into the knowledge. So the data analysis means that you people are very much clear in collection of the data, and later on that how this data depend upon the knowledge, that what kind of the questions you have prepared. So it is a complex analysis and big words impress. Okay, Betty. Analysis comes at the end after all the data are collected. So analysis means that now you have collected the data up to your approach, and now it is the time to analyze that how many people are interested in watching in their healthcare system. Are they satisfied with the UK healthcare system, or they need some kind of the reformation? If you are conducted the same research in Pakistan, or even in Saudi Arabia, if you conduct a pool that how many people are satisfied with the healthcare system, so you will prepare a questionnaire, you will distribute it, and you will find out up to your knowledge that 50% people are very much satisfied with the healthcare, and the 50 people will suggest that they need a kind of reformation. And you will collect the data into the numerical value to give the percentage that 50% out of 100 are not satisfied, and 50% are satisfied. So that is how the data is collected. How you would prepare your data? Better look at the slides. Number one is editing. Now your data is collected in the form of pages, and now you are going to edit. Like data must be inspected or completeness and consistencies. Completeness means that all the questions are properly addressed. If some person left the question, you may approach him and ask him or her that please tick or answer the questions. Beta, there are two types of questions, structured and unstructured. Structured questionnaire means that you are asking the same questions to the 20 people, and unstructured questionnaire means that you are asking the random questions to the 20 people. So collecting the data and analyzing the structured questionnaire is more better than the unstructured one, because every people have their own opinion and it will be unbounded. And whereas the structured questionnaire will have only 5 options, and people are bound to be within those 5 options. Respondent may not answer the question on marriage, but in the question, respondent answers he or he had married for 10 years and has 3 children. So this is the example that your questionnaire must be very much clear, and it must have an option so that the respondent must not leave an other answer so that your analysis must not be disturbed. Second is elimination of questionnaire, missing 10% of the total response. Suppose you distributed, your population was 200, but you took the sample of 25 people. When you distributed 25 questionnaire sheets to the 25 people, but when you collected back, your you got 20 papers. Where are the fifth one? It means that now your data will analysis will be disturbed because you prefer to have a sample of 25 people, but now if you have 20 people, your analysis will entirely be changed. Coding and data entry. You can also add a code, like if your population or if your sample size is of 20 people, you can code that I will take the questions 10 from the females and 10 from the males. Data transformation, changing data into new format like reduce Likert scale into 3 categories. Yes, there are some other approaches through which you can convert your data, like there are the different forms. Likert scale is a kind of technique in which you have only the 5 options: agree, strongly agree, disagree, strongly disagree, and the neutral. And the respondent will only answer in between these 5. So this is called the Likert scale. Types of variable. Better, there are 3 types of variables. Number 1 is unvariate, bivariate, and multivariate. Variables means that on which aspect, beta, I am telling you in a very simple word. Variable means that you are asking the questions from the population of 20 people, 10 are male and 10 are females, and you are asking the questions about the women empowerment. So, are you only asking about the women empowerment, domestic violence, and about the education? It means that your question will be based upon 3 variables. If you are asking the question about the women empowerment, it means that you will discuss about the women education only. This is the one variable. But if you are discussing education and the women holding the jobs or the women liberty, it means that you having the 2 variables. And if you are discussing about the gender discrimination, about the women empowerment, about the women liberty, about the women protection, it means that you are asking the questions on the 4 variables. So this is called univariate, bivariate, and multivariate. Understand better? Univariate, bivariate, multivariate. Because next week I have an assignment lecture, and in those I will give you the title on which you will develop a kind of questionnaire, or you will research on it. And I need you to understand that what is the data analysis, primary and secondary data, and the variables, that how many variables you will use. Okay, good. My daughter is very intelligent. She will understand. Univariate analysis. Now look at this, Pete. Univariate analysis means is the analysis of single variable. As I have told you on the previous slide, that when you have only one variable, you are only asking the question relevant to the one aspect, is called univariate. Because univariate analysis does not involve relationship between 2 or more variables. Its purpose is more toward descriptive rather than explanatory. Descriptive means that you will only justify the thing the way you tell the story, or you have seen something. If you ask a question from the 5 girls of your society, that do you think that the women must have a liberty? So they will say yes, women should have a liberty. Other ones say no, women should not have liberty. We already have so much right. The third, fourth, fifth girl will also answer the question relevant to this. But if you ask the question that the women should get an education, or the woman must have a liberty, so it means that you are using the 2 variables. What is the distribution? But the distribution means that frequency of distribution is counts of the number response to the question or to the occurrence of a phenomenon of interest. It is said by Plonsky and Waller in 2011. It is one of his research papers, that frequency, that the repetition, and the frequency, that how many times you are asking this question. Data analysis is basically obtained for all the personal data classification variables. So it depends that how many variables you are using. gives researchers some general picture about the dispersion as well as maximum minimum responses. So researcher will have a liberty. Either he can use the maximum respondents or the minimum respondents. So that is how we will develop a distribution. So now this is better look at the slide. The question is about the religious preferences. Fine. Our question, it means that we are focused on one thing, religion. Okay. Our question was that what is your religious preferences? Religious preferences. And your sample is of 20 people, 10 males and 10 females. We are having the 5 options. Like they may not any other option. They are bound to answer in between these 5 options. Protestant, Catholic, Jewish, none or other. If they say other, so it means they are Muslims. If they say none, it means they are theists. If they are Jewish, okay. If they are Catholic or Protestant, they will take on it, and then you can analyze and collect the data that 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 50% people in my research consider that their religious preferences will be Islam, because Islam is a religion of peace and unity and togetherness. And you can say that the 10% of the people in my research will say that their religious preference will be none, so they will be more protestate, or they will be prefer to go without religion. So this is the religious preferences. Protestants 886, like 886 like 100 out of 1000 people, 886 people prefer to go with Protestants, 367 with Catholic, and so on. So that is how you will collect your data. You will also present your data in the form of the pie chart. So this is the table in which you will show your data. This is the pie chart. It can easily be generated on the on the Excel sheet. You can also generate your questions by central tendency. It is the SPSS analysis. There is a in the statistician mostly help you a lot in generating or accumulating your result. So that is how they will depend. It depend upon them that how will they produce your data, and this is the how they develop a mean, mode, and the median to get the accurate results. Dispersion. Dispersion means distribution of values around some central value such an average. Like you can also develop your data into some range. Like you can give an accumulated result, or you can say that you can give your results in a round figures. Explain example measure of dispersion. Range, the distance separation the highest from or the lowest value. You can generate your result that how many people are in the favor of this and how many people are not in the favor of this. Like you can develop a range of highest to lowest variance to describe the variability of the distribution. You can it depends upon the researcher that how his variety, how his validity, and how his variables will be dependent or increased upon his research. Standard of deviation, it means that index of the amount of variability in the set of data. So high standard deviation means that data are more dispersed. Lower standard deviation means data are more bunched together. Like if your data is dispersed, if your data is on 100 people, it is having the highest value. If your data is on the less people, it means that it is of lowest value. Continuous and discrete variables. So there are the two important variables. Continuous, a variable that can take only on a value because two specific values, an infinite number of values, such as income and age, for example, interval and ratio. Now you are asking a question one from the government and one from the private sector jobians. That and your variable is a continuous one. Like if you are asking about income and age, then your scale will be on the basis of interval, that if their income is of 5%, that how income is of 10,000 rupees, that how many people are earning at the age of 25 10,000, and what is the ratio of the 25 to 30 years people that they are earning 25,000, and age and income and age will depend upon the interval and the ratio. It means that the two variables are used to develop a kind of ratio. Discrete variable, a variable whose attributes are separated from one another. Here, income and age are considered to be correlate with each other. But if you ask a question from a person about the marital status, about gender and nationality, so these three questions are entirely different, because marital status means that either you are married or unmarried. Gender means male or female. Nationality like local, foreigner, Pakistani or Arabian or whatsoever. So this, that is how your scale will be nominal or ordinal. Like here, nominal means that you will include number, or ordinal means that you will include in an order first, second, or third. Subgroup comparison, bivariate and multivariate. It means that the two variables and multiple variable analysis are primarily based upon the explanations. How should be legalized? Like if your question is that that the age of respondent must be legalized, so 27% people under 21, age of 21, said that the age should not be legalized, when the people who are between the age of 21 and 35 said that the age should be legalized. So there was the different, there was a variance in their respondents' answer. Should not be legalized. How many people say that the age should not be legalized? 73% people of the age under 21 said that the age should not be legalized. So that is how they will calculated their mean, that 34% to 38, 338 and 265 people are out of 100% are in the favor of legalizing the age, and not legalizing the age. This is how we develop a subgroup research. Collapsing response categories. Look at the slide, bete. Combining the two appropriate range of variation to get better picture or meaningful analysis. If you begin to make an analysis of two different variables, so it will collapse the data. Like one, you are getting the data from the high literary people, and another data you are collecting from the people who are underage and not of a high class, like they are belong to the poor or the middle class. So both of their results will be not correlate, and your data can be and results can be devastated. So you must be very much clear that what will be your target people or the target population to generate the result. Handling don't know. If your percentage of neutral answers is increasing, then how would you handle whether to include or exclude the don't know in a harder to decide? So it depends that if suppose if you are asking a question about the women, that you will prefer to marry a person of with higher bank balance, or with the lower bank balance, or the with zero bank balance. Fine. And if you are getting the answer of don't know, like don't know, so and your increasing percentage is like 73% girls say that they don't know, like they don't have no opinion. So either it would be included in your results or not. Don't know or neutral answers will be sometimes excluded out of your result. So you will prefer with the general question rather than the don't know. Percentage. It is better to give the percentage rather than putting a ratio. This is how you will develop a percentage. Some men and women who either favor gender equality or don't favor it. So pink people are those who favor the gender equality, and the blues are those who do not favor the gender equality. So it is how they will depend. So instead of making a general result, better to divide the women results separately and the men results separately. Sociological diagnostic. Sociological diagnostic is a quantitative analysis technique for determining the nature of social problem. If you are going for the social experiment or some answers of the social questions, so that is how you, it means that you are going to analyze something which are very popping into the society. It can be used to replace opinion with facts to settle the database. Number one, issues of gender and the income. So while if you are researching on the gender, so you will make another questionnaire, and if you are developing a questionnaire regarding the income, so you will develop the questionnaire and distribute separately into men and the women. Conclusion, bete. In quantitative data analysis, we classify feature, count them, and then construct more complex statistical model. But the most important thing is that if you have hands-on over the statistical analysis, you can generate the better results. But unfortunately, in our academic system, we just producing the research on the basis of copy pasting. We are not producing the genuine results. That is how those people who have a hands over the statistics, they produce good result by researching genuinely. Otherwise the student just take the help from the other people who have an expertise in statistics, and get the good result. But if you get a good result, you must know that how to generate the result and how to collect the data. So this topic is over, and now we are moving towards another section of our research, which is summary, conclusion, and the recommendations. And so, what is the difference between the summary and the precise content? Summary and précis, the precise content. Summaries are brief of all main points. Very good. And the second, you mean is précis? Yes. It's a writing which gives the absolute main direction of a particular writing, such as Nazira, if I am not wrong. Bete, actually, precise is the one third of a whole content. Like precisely that you are just giving the main content and the main idea while writing in your own words, whereas summary is just the half of the length of original content. It must not be as same, but the whole idea of the story must be included in the summary. You cannot include or exclude anything of your own choice. Whereas in a précis, you have to follow the rules of writing the whole content in a, like, if you have a paragraph or 100 words, and if you are making a précis of it, so what you do that you will make the tell us the whole content in the 30 words, like making the one third of the whole content. So this is the précis. So there should be a brief statement about the main purpose of the study, the population respondent, and the period of the study, method of research, and the research. Actually, the summary basically means the synopsis of the research paper or the research dissertation. Dissertation means that when you are telling us that what is the main objective of your research, what is the hypothesis or the question on which you are going to research. Like my research is that the women in Pakistan are more protective legally than the other countries of the world. So this is my research hypothesis or the question. And on this question, my methodology is my research will be descriptive, and I will make an analysis of 2023 newspaper of one Pakistan, another is of UK or the you can say the Saudi Arabia, and I will analyze that the legal amendments in the law for the women is more in Pakistan than in other countries, and that is how on the basis of this research question I will conduct a research and then I will produce a result. The period of study means that in how many years or in how many months you will conduct a research. An MPhil thesis mostly takes 6 to 8 months, and whereas the PhD thesis usually takes 2 years of the completion of research to produce research. The finding of the results may be a lump because it clearly demands that each specific should be under the statement of problem must be written, first follow the findings, and then we would answer. Actually, the research in the MPhil or in the BS program basically depend upon that what is your approach of research and what is your area and what is your limitation. As I told you in the previous lecture, there is a difference between limitation and the delimitation. Limitation means your physical approach, your physical approach towards some area. Like if you are talking about our author who is not alive, so it means that you cannot move towards the heaven and ask them that what was your mind when you are writing this novel. Whereas delimitation means that how you are cutting down the whole thing, narrow down the content, and then focuses on one. Better recently, I conducted a research on a novel, The Holy Woman. It was about a woman who was married with the Holy Quran just because to secure the wealth by their brothers, as it is very common in remote areas, even in Sindh, Punjab, in Sindh, Pakistan. So, what does the purpose of this research was that the objectification of women, that women are not the toys, that you handle the woman by your own ways. So there were so many other women characters, there were so many other male characters, but I cut down the whole my novel and research and just focused on the Zari Bano, who was the main protagonist, like heroine of the novel around which the writer revolves the whole story. This is the way we cut down the narrow down our research. The findings of their research, either it is quantitative or qualitative, need textual generalization, that it is a summary or important data consisting of a text. Every statement or fact should consist of word number statistical measure. So what is the conclusion? Beta conclusions are very important, in which you have to conclude your whole content and your whole research. Like conclusions are inferences, deductions, abstractions, implications, interpretation, and sometimes the general statements on the basis of which you develop the conclusion. For the qualitative research, you will give the findings that on which in your qualitative research, what were your findings? If you discussed about the objectification of the woman or the woman as a sexual toy, so what did you find that the author was right in the present scenario or not? Whereas in quantitative analysis, as we have discussed in the data analysis, that we will discuss that the each variable, that if our question was that the people prefer to uh, people prefer to watch the dramas than watching the news. So, what was the answer of women? What was the answer of male? What was the answer of girls? So, that is how we will bifurcate it and answer the question on the basis of our findings. So, that is how our conclusion will be constructed. Whether the conclusion should appropriately answer the specific questions raised at the beginning of investigation in order they are giving. So your conclusion must be in a very completely in an order. So you cannot write the conclusion of in your own words. You have to justify that whatever you are writing in your data analysis, what you have said in your research question, everything has been justified and you are producing a new result and no one has even justified this before you. The conclusion should point out what were the actually learned from the inquiry. Conclusion doesn't mean that you are only wrapping up your research. Conclusion means that whatever you have written, it is being justified and it is being concluded, and no one can even now research on it. They will find a gap and research and carry it forward. Conclusion should be formatted concisely, brief, and short. Conclusion doesn't mean that you may write 30 or 40 pages in concluding your research. It must be written with the brevity, like with very short sentences, formulated, concise and complete by all means. There are the few characteristics that it must be biased. Like you cannot unbiased in conclusion because it is your research and you must also support your conclusion. There must be no grammatical mistake. There must no incorrection in your generating results. There must not any gap required in producing in deduction. Incorrect deduction means that you cannot produce the result which is not of your interest or which is not of the interest of the audience or the people. Incorrect comparisons. You cannot make a comparison which is out of your range. You cannot put a fake data because data can easily be checked by a different software. Whatever you are producing the result, that must be also calculated in the ratio. You cannot mislead your listeners. You cannot mislead the readers with the incorrect information. All the whatever you are writing in your conclusion must be according to the problem statement, and you must also give a recommendation that you have concluded that this aspect of the problem and the other researchers would follow this aspect, or they can research in the same direction but they can use this aspect to continue this research project. So this was all from my side today, beta, in which we discussed data analysis and in which we discuss the conclusion summary and the recommendations. Now I have a task for you. First of all, prepare your research question is that the healthcare system is providing more support to the women than the male. Fine. And now develop your add two more questions and also tell me that how many variables you will take in developing your questionnaire. Okay, or you can do that regarding the healthcare system, regarding the healthcare, develop a questionnaire. Yeah, tell me the three questions. Tell me that how many variables you will use. Either you will be a bivariate, multivariate, or the bivariate, your univariate. So develop a questionnaire based on three questions and depend upon you. Either you are taking two variables or three variables. I am waiting for your response.